Yeah, we are actually having like weekly go no go conversations, and so we're yeah at this point we are down to the wire, just trying to get it out the door.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that Dan said near the end of summer was the goal, and he didn't say, "Don't try to find excuse to Daniel Larimer, please."
Yeah, I it's difficult for the for people in the EOS community maybe to well maybe for some of them it's easier, but for others I can understand points of I don't know if the word contention is right, but for me, I kind of look at it like I value somebody who has depth of vision and they have a sense of the timing of things and they can see that a team like the Fractally team is very talented, has quite a track record individually and collectively. That individually different members, and maybe people don't know enough about people on the Fractally team and some of the history. And I guess some of the Genesis members could have opportunity to
Yeah,
present that so people have confidence in what the team is doing. But if anyone who has the depth of it, like a Field of Dreams kind of thing, you can see it and you can believe it when it's not fully materialized yet. And that's something that I really value in members of our fractal because I think that's what it's going to take to innovate in the direction where we're going.
absolutely, Joshua. I value also when I don't see the things coming directly. I respect that, and I have a lot of respect for all the team here, the Fractally team. Also, when I am upset sometimes. So I apologize to Thomas. I was a little harsh into my first round, into our breakout room, because I was thinking that could maybe go to the next round today. But I am also happy if I am not going to the next round. That's okay. That's fine. I repeat, that's not the most fun part, the breakout room. The most fun part for me, it's the collaboration with the people because we are building now the things. So imagine if all is coming to fruition, then we will see who will stay here. So I want to be part of that because I love the people that I have met. That's not the most important point. That's not the paper, the contributor agreement, and all this stuff. That's not that the most important. The most important is the collaboration, and also into hidden fractal. That's enjoy. Very important that we move on and we go, and we do some actions because that's very boring sometimes when there are not the things moving on. We are men of actions. I am not the only one. I have people advocating also. We want to go forward. We have not to wait until the fruition, as Daniel Larimer said. We have not to wait, or Gregory also said, or Joshua also said. We have not to wait until the fruition of this fractally. We have to do already what we have to do, and we have lions. We are not sheep. We have to continue to do the things for the good. And because tomorrow maybe all is finished, maybe tomorrow all is finished, at least we will have no regret because we have made all what we can.
Thank you for
Okay,
being an
so now
advocate.
I will give the mic to James Mark, the only James 007 into the galaxy of Fractally. So
Thanks, Patrick. Uh, yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, like I think something that we're all learning, I am learning in particular, is that consensus is not always easy. It's sometimes quite difficult to reach consensus, and there's like skills I think that you develop in these meetings that I wouldn't have been able to predict before we started doing this as an experiment. But the ability to, um, I think it takes like a certain disinterest in your identity, or that's at least a skill that people can try to hone, like having less strong of an attachment to one's own identity to help you focus more on contributions. Something that I'm learning, and an unexpected benefit from teams that I wanted to share is that, like, yeah, sometimes meetings are really difficult and challenging, and I've certainly felt emotionally drained after some meetings. Today I felt really good, but in the past definitely I've had some emotionally difficult meetings. Our Fractally team started, or we're about to start, like just meeting to basically do little just talk about our meetings on Saturday. And I think if everybody was on a team, this might be something that you can do with your teams that is a benefit you might not have expected up front. You can make sure your concerns are heard at the very least within your own team. And I don't know. I think it's just as therapeutic and helpful to talk about these things after the fact. And uh, anyway, that's just something that we're going to start doing as a Fractally team, is like talking about these and making sure that we feel that even internally our own concerns and thoughts are heard, since sometimes you don't always have time to talk things out fully during a Saturday meeting. That's all.
I will have problem with my wife now.
All right, I see Chuck Cruz.
Yes, I would like to say hello from Roy Fractal, the Russian-speaking Fractal. And I'd like to express appreciation from the Roy Fractal for creating the Fractal governance. They love it. They love the experience, the process. And we also have around 50% of women participating in the Roy Fractal. So, and we also have ladies only rooms in Roy Fractal, which
and
is
these
fun.
are Russian women.
Yes. You got to speak English to communicate with them, but you're free to join. And they reach consensus a little bit differently. And that is also some kind of experience. And what we also had today is a fun experience when some people dropped out of rooms. They happened to be in the lobby, in the main room. They didn't know that this is the main room. They didn't have their mics on because they had to raise their hand. And I was in the room, so they were muted, but they reached consensus in the chat. Yeah. So I just wanted to share all the emotions we had. People loved it. We have a recording on YouTube. You can watch it. You can feel the vibe, and to say hello. And it was very warm to me personally to see people excited and get the excitement and bring it back to the main Genesis Fractal. So thank you everyone for creating this.
How many were in that group, Shuckers?
We had 36 people today, 32 people a week ago, and we have in the chat 158 people. So not everyone was able to, join today. But just to say, these are like the leaders, the pioneers, and some of these people are multi-level marketing leaders, and some of them used to have over 10,000 people in their network. So once they learn it, once we have things figured out, we'll have a lot of people, and that's my estimate. And other thing we figured out is we don't use Hive, we use Telegram. That's a lot easier. And we're thinking about creating a bot, so to make things even easier to communicate and record things. But we're looking forward for the blockchain because we also have a coin that this community is promoting, and it's a payment coin, and I'm hoping to put it as one of the first payment coins on the new blockchain, on the Fractally blockchain, because we need smart contract. We need all the functionality that is being developed right now. We don't have it in that blockchain, and I see that blockchain as a temporary place for a coin to be born and distributed, and then we'll move to the new blockchain, and we'll have everything, all the new shiny things, all the great stuff on Fractally. Yes.
When are the Russian meetings?
Well, that's a community that is promoting a blockchain and a token.
So you don't have Fractal democracy meetings? You don't have a...
And we're using Fractal governance to govern that blockchain.
Okay. And when are the meetings?
Saturdays, just before us, like in daytime, in Moscow daytime. 11 a.m. Moscow time every Saturday.
Okay, can you post the link on Telegram?
Thank
maybe?
You.
All right, Matt Langston.
I want to go back to something James was talking about um, which I think was, I want to underline and underscore. He talked about taking a disinterested perspective, which I think is a really key observation. Um, all of us in these meetings, we're here because we're leaders, or we're learning how to be leaders. This is the governance part of fractal democracy, right? It's not about engineering. It's not about coding. It's not about, this is the governance aspect of it. Now we bring those into the discussion, but what Fractally is doing is they're building us a lifeboat, right? They're building us escape pods from the spaceship to be able to get off this ship and to be able to, you know, move, you know, move someplace else where we can govern our own lives and have more independence and more freedom. That's the big picture, right? That's the only reason I am involved in this. Now my contributions do get respect because you guys have aligned me, right? When I share my stuff, I get, I'm rewarded handsomely with respect from you all. But that's because I listen to what you want and I try to align with what I hear and I try to do more of what I think you want. Now, James ranked number 8 this week. And the reason I advocated for him, it wasn't for the engineering accomplishments that he did. It was because he did 2 really important things. He unblocked 2 people. So he's looking out for the bigger picture, right? So 2 of his colleagues were blocked, someone that he works for in his company and somebody that he doesn't work for in a company, but he took time out of his day or out of his week to unblock 2 of his colleagues. That's valuable. That's how we work together. That's leadership, right? That's saying I'm going to stop what I'm doing, you know, and I'm going to focus on what my colleagues need and I'm going to focus attention there. That's valuable. I'd like to see more of that. More of James's example from me and from all of us, because we're not rock stars, right? We're here, like if we don't work together, we're not going to make it. We have to help each other. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, really well said, Matt. Jason.
All right, now I'm going to go back one and talk about what Chuck Cruz was talking about. So one of the things I've been noticing really loud in all of these meetings is that there ain't a lot of women here. And I don't think we can get much done if we're only talking to the male segment of the population. So to deal with that, I got my sister here four times ish or something like that, and she'll be back. She couldn't make it this week, but we always talk about whether or not we're both going to be on this meeting. But one of the reasons I want my sister here is because I want her feedback about what's going on here that has women not come back when they do show up, or has them not show up. My sister is wicked smart and she's really conscious and is able to speak about things that other people can't see. So I think she's going to give us some good feedback. But that's not happening yet. And what is happening is Cruz has a bunch of women doing this kind of thing on his Fractal. So I want to hear from him specifically the answer to this question. Anything else you want to say, but specifically the answer to this question. What is happening over there that isn't happening over here that you think is the source of women continuing to participate after their first meeting? Now, I can repeat that if you want it, because it's a really specifically worded question.
It's they build networks. These are multi-level network professionals. They that's their job. Communication is their job, and yep. Right now we don't have that aspect implemented yet in the Genesis. We have it planned, we have it designed, and once we have it implemented, we'll have more of those people. Because they don't really into the long-term democracy building story. They are into building a team and making money.
Okay, so they're here to make connections, build networks, build groups, build teams, and they're thinking that their actions that they take here are going to benefit them long-term personally because they'll have new networks of people. Is that accurate?
And Yes, that is close. Also,
Okay.
probably, I'm just guessing right now because I don't
Of
know for
course.
sure.
Yeah, we're not
But
talking to the women, so we're we don't know what we're talking
in
about. We're
general,
guessing.
we have more like layman people over there. We have more hardcore people over here, like techie, blockchain oriented. Over there, we also have well, those women are a community, and they used to they used to know each other, and they used to have they used to have offline conferences. So that community is of thousands of people. It got broken because they had over 100,000 people, members of the community. Now it's a lot smaller because the coin dumped. It was dumped, 1000x, and they are reviving it. We are restoring the community, and they know each other, and they used to go to conferences. They used to meet each other offline, and they used to meet each other, personally. And now they find what they find interesting and valuable is the reconnecting with each other, reconnecting in a new way that is very close to being on a conference. And they even call it a mini conference.
Okay,
so this
clear.
Every Saturday they have a conference, and they have like an experience that is close to something. When you go to another city, you see other people from other networks, from other teams, you mingle and you talk to each other, and you have some personal communication, and you have some stuff that you work, the core stuff that in the community, the business stuff and personal stuff, and you see each other. And
Okay.
that's what they find valuable. Reconnecting.
All right, I got a follow-up question on that. Do you do two actually? One's a yes or no. Do you do a similar thing where you rank the contributions of different members in these meetings, or is that not part of what you do in these meetings?
Yeah. That's the protocol. Ranking is protocol.
Good.
Yes.
Now, given that that's the protocol, how do they respond to that? Because most of the women I've been in rooms with personally on these meetings do not respond well to that process. So how do the women in your meetings respond to that?
They are fine with it. I mean, they do it sometimes they do it fast. Like they say, okay, I think this. Agree, and that's it. Yeah. Because it's just the beginning. We'll see how it evolves. But they are fine.
That's huge, right? Because that's a very different way than I've seen any other woman respond here. And honestly, I've only been in rooms with 3 women, so I don't have a lot of data points, but they don't respond well to it. In fact, they push back about it, and they have differences of opinions with the way it happens in these meetings. And I don't think we're doing anything wrong. I just think we're doing something very typically male that doesn't translate well. And so I want to get to the bottom of that. Like, what can we do to have this be a more inclusive process? That's all. So thanks. If there's anything else you want to say about that, go ahead and say it. Otherwise, I got what I needed, and I appreciate your contribution.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, that was a very valuable part of the post discussion here. Thank you, Jason, for drawing that out. I see Daniel Georgia, if that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, Jorge.
Jorge.
Sorry, I don't have it on gallery view. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in the last meetings, I've shared room with people that is doing work that I already know, that I'm familiar with, and it's feeling a little repetitive, a little like always the same. So to me, that's a symptom that we really need to now focus efforts on bringing additional people, hopefully women. Yeah, just that we need to focus efforts on doing that. Thank you.
To piggyback on that, I think that's a great point, Jorge. I think, and yeah, your conclusion, I think, was right on the money. We need more people, and it actually solves a lot of problems if we can grow this community to be a larger size. One idea is to see, like, if anyone has connections to groups of people that maybe are already in the practice of meeting for one reason or another. And so basically, if you can reach out to the leadership of existing groups, that might make a fairly natural migration to become like a team on the Fractal, and then you get a whole block of people that if you can convince them to, or maybe they're already interested in governance. I know that's pretty niche, but even if they're not, I just wonder if there's something that we're missing by focusing on inviting people instead of maybe taking some time to proactively think about if there's groups of people we can invite. So I don't know.
James, I'll piggyback on that. Thomas, I think you left last week just before I had a comment to you, but I know that there's lots of governance issues. And I know that if you have an outreach, if Fractal has an outreach team or, a PR section, like, for example, Rust is having a significant governance issue, and you guys are using Rust. So you're a natural, like there's a dovetail there, I think. I would like to see them be aware of you, but I don't feel like I don't want to be that outreach. I think that should maybe come from your team. But they have a problem that I think, based on my experience with Genesis, would be a natural fix for what they're suffering.
I'm hoping that when I get that you were addressing me, I'm not sure that I'm exactly the right person to address there, but I can see what you're saying. And once we are launched, I think that we'll have the platform that will allow organizations like that to start considering onboarding in the coming months and trying it out for themselves. This is what we're building it for, Matt. So yeah, thanks. Keep those opportunities and those possibilities alive. And if you would see the opportunity to introduce it to that community, let's do it. Lenny.
Lenny, go ahead. And I think
just piggybacking on the previous two, as some of you know, and I have mentioned why to some, I have not invited a single person yet. I'm not comfortable yet, because what do we show them? I think even males, a number of them come in here and say, what's this? It's just a discussion club, and goes out, because it takes time here to really see the value. So it's like Thomas mentioned, once we have something really to present, something good, then it's a different story. But right now, myself, I'm not comfortable to invite people here because I have a longer term goal, and maybe they get put off because we are not really there yet. And then it gets harder again to kind of get the momentum going. Just to put it simple, and yeah, how it is.
Yeah, it's a very good point, Lenny. I think that's an objection that we want to work at overcoming as much as we can. Go ahead, Felix, and then I think you'll be the last one today, Felix.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Joshua. And yeah, I guess I kind of wanted just to second Lenny's comments. And I guess I was also curious too, like, I think a big onboarding kind of current issue right now too is like Hive and then having would we be using Hive if we launch the blockchain? I would assume no, but then also like, I think the onboarding process right now has a lot of friction. I don't think Hive is very easy for casual people to use. And then on top of that, then you're like, okay, I've got a Hive account, but then I got to jump onto a Zoom link. So if it's an all-in-one product, which I think, basically Lenny was kind of also saying is like, I think that's going to help a lot. I anticipate too, once a blockchain is launched, that's going to get a lot more people and interest coming here, because now they're like, oh, okay, now there's some actual tokens living on a blockchain that people are going to want to come try to get. So yeah, those are just some comments, but then I guess questions, if anyone from the Fractal team can kind of add a little bit more of like, how fast and how soon would we transition over from what we're currently doing with Hive to using the blockchain, as it seems that I'm assuming pretty close, since you guys are doing weekly votes on like a go, no go with launching.
Josh, can we continue chatting, or are you trying to like?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead. I didn't know if Felix was gonna drop a bomb. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. No. Sure. Cool. Yeah, I have a couple comments to make. Well, first of all, I guess I should clarify. We're having the go no go on the deliverable that we've talked about, which is basically open sourcing everything and providing a direction so that it's really, we can finally be working out in the open. And that will come with some preview of what it is that we've been working on. But the most important deliverable here is the open sourcing of everything. In terms of when we can expect to actually transition the community, that's definitely not where we're at yet. So I think I don't want to make a guess really, but it's not for a while. But don't get your hopes up about transitioning the community to be fully on chain for a while. Gregory, maybe do you want to give any more meat on those bones, or should we leave it there?
Yeah, as much as we'd like to launch them jointly, they will be most likely launched independently. When we get to the point of launching a test net, if you will, governance won't be on there. There's still a fair amount of work to do. That said, I'd like to answer Felix with regards to the barriers to entry, if you will. So you've got Zoom, you've got Hive, you've got all these technologies, and certainly our goal and what we set out to do was get to the point where there's a simple solution, all integrated, where you don't need to use all these different third-party services. So that makes it very easy, and the barrier entry is very low for anyone to participate in the governance system. Granted, there is an invite model to this. People can't just pick up an app and start engaging. You need to be invited into a Fractal, but once you get that invite, activating your account and becoming a participating member is all within the same piece, if you will, without having to do third-party stuff.
Once things are open source too, there's I think really going to be an opportunity for more than one development team to start building things. I would hope that we can mobilize a community, the community that we have of developers to pick up wherever they're most interested in contributing, and things will be so I hope that at least partially addressed your question. I also wanted to bring up something I brought up. Sorry, Paul, I see your hand's been up for a while. Let me just make my one last statement here, and then I'll pass it over to you. I made a comment in the consensus meeting today that I'll just replicate here because it seems relevant to I guess what Lenny said. And it's just a thought I've been having recently. I think, like, if you look at history, humans have gone a long time without really innovating much in the governance space, because it's how do you coordinate innovation, especially radical innovation in governance? There's a coordination problem there. And I think really it was the development of blockchain technology in the last decade that brought an incentive layer to governance development itself. It's like there's now this kind of arms race for developing streamlined governance systems, which is a really interesting thing. And I think it's new, a new piece of the human experience. With where we are right now with Fractally not on a chain, I've been thinking that it feels a little bit like we are cut off at the knees. There's this whole governance model, this whole system that we're trying to develop, and there's no incentive layer to incentivize the widespread adoption and experimentation with fractal governance. So I guess this is just to say I'm really excited for the deployment of this on a blockchain. I think it's really like priority number one for me is getting that getting it deployed on a blockchain. One way I phrase it, I think a blockchain might be like the killer app for fractal governance, meaning like that might be the thing that allows us to actually have this incentive layer for experimentation. And I think it'll be a lot easier at that point to onboard people because it's concrete. It's we're governing a chain and all the apps that are on it and all the value that's accumulating to that chain. That is a much more compelling story, I think, than come hang out on Saturday and talk with these tokens that are untradeable. And it's just a, I very much appreciate those comments, Lenny and Felix, and I agree.
While you're
you,
here,
Paul.
James, while you're here,
Okay, yeah,
James,
sure.
just one from the chat real quick. Will the open source stuff be coded in a logical, easy to understand way, or will it be kind of like the eating code? Do you have an opinion on that at the moment?
I love the question. I hope it's less messy than the Eden code. It also probably depends on what layer you're talking about. No, it's going to be. I mean, how difficult is it to develop smart contracts on the EOS blockchain? This is largely the same team that developed the EOSIO code base or the Antelope code base. Oh, well, I guess the EOSIO code base. And so I think I would say maybe take that more as the model of what we're working with rather than the Eden code. We're building the platform upon which things can be built. And I think we have a very functional and scalable architecture over on EOSIO that you can see as some evidence of how the eventual developer experience will be. I appreciate the question. I think we're going to do better than we did with the Eden code.
And also, Gregory mentioned just in reply to your question there, Chris. Our aim is to provide and release good documentation so that the technology will be easier for developers to consume. We understand the importance of providing visibility and clarity beyond just providing code, so that it can be better adapted by the community. So yeah, this is definitely a whole new ballgame, but there's I appreciate you mentioning what you did, James, because it just for those who aren't aware, there's a lot of credibility to be lended to the team. Okay, Paul, you have the floor, sir, and I think you're going to close us out today.
Cool. So as you all know, I'm pretty new, and I was just going to give some feedback on, like, I thought I had read somewhere or that there was like a mentor kind of pairing up. Maybe it was an idea for the future. If somebody was to reach out, then they would get like this one-on-one consult support. I mean, I've been coming for a few weeks, but I just I guess feel like I could maybe make a lot of progress if I was just having like a one-on-one conversation with trying to understand this from somebody that's been here longer. And it almost feels like there's this like secret society that goes into like the Saturday real room, and then like you're kind of just have no clue what's happening in there. It's not transparent. It feels lacking in transparency, honestly. I don't know why. Maybe there's good reasons why we can't be witnessing that without adding to it from kind of the bleachers. But maybe there's a good reason for that. So anyway, I'm thrilled to be here, excited to learn about these new ways, and I'm thankful for all of you.
Yeah, and once again, thank you for your newcomer perspective and feedback, Paul. On one of your points there, I think maybe I mentioned this to you at one point. There's a one-on-one meeting that anyone can book in Calendly, and depending on what time they choose, it's going to be assigned. At this time, it's just either myself or Matt Langston. You can book a time whenever you'd like. That link it's in a few places, but it may not be obvious enough. So I'm probably going to make it like a pinned post in the Go Fractally community, but I'll give it to you directly. And you and anyone else, you can get, once you know where that link is, you can give it to anybody else, any newcomer. And before they ever attend a meeting, they could book a one-on-one session, and then they could continue to follow up. And if you or anyone else starts to feel like a veteran, I'll have to talk to Matt about this, but we can probably start adding people to the session. To the ability to be assigned. Like right now, I said it's just myself and Matt. So if other people were added, maybe different times would be available, and our welcoming committee could be expanded. It's something I'm personally giving more thought to. There's been some good feedback in the Telegram group, if you guys haven't seen that recently, from a non-participant, but it was good feedback nonetheless. And do you have a follow-up thought? Go ahead.
Yeah, let me follow up on that. Everything Josh said, and so Josh, I am all in favor of bringing in more veterans. So just off the top of my head, I think anyone on the leaderboard has earned the respect of the community, and would be able to onboard new people. So if you're on the leaderboard and you want to help me and Josh out, please reach out to Josh and he'll just add you. It's really simple. You'll get an email that says somebody wants to talk to you about, what is this all about? Kind of what Paul just said. And you just spend, 30 minutes with them, just one-on-one, trying to help them wrap their heads around it, making sure they understand how to participate. The other thing, Josh, can you post so Paul, we also have Josh has done a really good job at we're trying to create a list of like work items so that you can sort of, they're shovel ready jobs. So you can just sort of, if you want to kind of get involved directly, these are some tiny, smaller projects that you could do immediately that would provide value. We believe would provide value and would gain you respect for when you come and talk about them on a Saturday meeting. So Josh, I'm not sure where that list is, but could you drop it in the chat? And Paul, please look at this list. And like, if there's something on there that interests you and think you could do, which there probably is, take it, do it, and then come back and tell us about what you did in a subsequent week.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. So that's D-Work is a third-party app that we've been playing with. It integrates with the Discord. Paul, I'll follow up and give you these links directly, and then I'll probably also post them in the Telegram group.
In the gym.
I know some people also post these meetings on YouTube. Can probably search like Fractally or something on YouTube. You might also be able to find some recordings of the consensus meetings and the subsequent round and stuff like that if you're interested, Paul. I also dropped a link in the chat to an article I wrote that you just reminded me of. It's called Bringing Off-Chain Governance On-Chain. And the point of it is just to highlight a mental model for these meetings where I think it might actually be better to think of this, like how much insight or transparency is there for the conversations that go on behind closed doors in the Ethereum Foundation that determine, the direction of the Ethereum network or some of these other blockchains that use more of an off-chain governance. I think that this process is the off-chain process. What we're doing right now is like bringing transparency as much as possible anyway to an off-chain governance. And there's, I think, good reasons to prefer off-chain governance to some kind of on-chain objective governance, like in the more traditional like DPoS system. I think there's pros and cons to both, but yeah, certainly an argument to be had. And yeah, we can all get better at transparency, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you very much, especially for addressing the transparency part of what Paul mentioned. Okay, one final comment from Thomas, and then we'll end the meeting. Go ahead, Thomas.
I just want to thank and acknowledge everyone who's been showing up. I keep seeing these bigger and broader and better contributions from everybody, and it comes from showing up, asking, discovering what you can contribute, and then contributing that and on a weekly basis, refining it and getting better. It's amazing to see, and I acknowledge everyone who's here today and look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, next week we'll flow a little bit smoother, and shout out again to Matt for holding it down for us on the technical side. All right, guys, you guys have a great rest of your day. No fancy outro music this week, so it's just going to be an abrupt end to the meeting. If you want to wave and say goodbye, thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week. Lots of respect to you guys.
Go Fractally.
Go Fractally. Adios.
Fractally. Go Genesis.